Well, it's January 6th, 2023, and here's kind of what it looks like outside. We've had more snow this year so far than I've ever seen in my time, and I go back quite a ways for this early in the year. And we still got 2 or 3 months left of winter, so I don't think that wood pile is going to make her. So I picked up a membership in our local shooting club this year, and what we're going to do here today is take in this Hammerli. That's called a Virginian, and this was bought back in the 80s, and it hasn't been shot yet. In fact, the box has barely been opened, so this is kind of what it looks like inside. And we'll go into some more details on this after we try it out and want to see how it shoots. And we'll give you some details of when this was purchased and actually more what kind of a gun this is. So, with that, we're going to get into our shooting range and see what this thing will do. This is a 3.57, and we're going to shoot 38 specials in it. Okay, we're here at the shooting range, and for those that haven't been to an indoor range, this is kind of what it looks like. Really nice facility in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shooting lanes. These go down 75 feet. Well, here we're in one of the 2 rooms. We have 7 lanes in each room, and we're fortunate right now because we're the only in this particular room here that we set up our target. We'll probably shoot that at 30 feet, not being sure how this Virginia. So we'll see if we can keep on the paper. We'll be shooting here at, holding at this point, 6 o'clock home on the target. So to send that down range, we got a select button, and then we'll pick 30 feet, and enter that, and then the go button. Send that target load up our 1/4" single action. Okay, there's our first 10 rounds. Let's bring that target home and have a look at it. Now for offhand shooting at, we set that at 30 feet, I think. And my point aim is right here. Got a nice, I'd say a nice group with that offhand shooting. If I put it on the edge, I expect that to tighten up quite a bit. So really happy with this left and right alignment. This gun are set just right. And as far as up and down goes, we couldn't get any better than that either at this distance. The center of the screw right about in here somewhere, and that's exactly where I'd like to see it, about point of aim. So really happy with that first target. Okay, so we had this gun shooting at 30 feet, 10 yards, and now we're going to center down about 25 yards and see what it can do with that distance. So 75 feet. We'll set that enter and we'll go. And we'll shoot off the bag this time. Get some idea how this gun shoots as far as the size, and also where it's going to hit at 25 yards. really tough to line that up and down, but I'm really happy with that left and right shooting. This thing is just spot on. Like I say, I'm holding up a little too much front sight on some of these, a couple of these shots maybe, but real happy with that. Alright, we're back from our indoor shooting range, and we have our Virginian that we fired there, 4 3/4 inch barrel, 3.57. As I said, we shot 38 specials in the gun. And the two targets that we shot, this one was at 30 feet, I believe, and this was offhand shooting, two-hand hold. Really, I thought a decent group. Point of aim down here where the X is. So we're shooting maybe 1.5 to 2 inches above point of aim for the center of that group. And then we switched and went out to 70 or 25 yards, 75 feet, and used a rest for the gun and shot 5 shots here again, point of aim down here in this spot. And really excellent as far as left and right. I can get the lighting correct on the sights, but how much front sight to hold up is kind of tough. So, but even with that, I really felt that was made a good showing. Well, I said I'd talk a little bit about the gun itself and then who imported it and where it was produced. The gun is basically produced in Switzerland by Hammerli, and they're known for making some very excellent guns. And I actually have had a 5.5 inch, or have a 5.5 inch that I had shot earlier this year, and the results were less than desirable on it. I can turn down to this target I've got down here. Probably got about 10-12 shots on this, and like I say, you can stretch the 12-inch ruler out here and, you know, cover most of them with that. But I'm not doing very well. In fact, I'm looking at some things that are probably keyholing, like this one here. So, but I don't think the gun shot that way when I first of all purchased it back in the 70s. I did a lot of shooting with it, so I'm not sure what the situation is there. But I wanted to try my 4.5 inch gun that I had never shot before, and see if that was doing a similar thing, or if that was shooting like it should be. Just a little background on these particular guns. You can get a lot of information online for these things, so I'm not going to go through all of that. But here we're saying that the Hammerlis were imported by Inner Arms from 72 to 75, and the dollar devaluation in the mid-70s made it cheaper for them to actually produce the guns in the States. And they started making them in the States. I believe they called them the De Gruen at that point, and they quit importing from Switzerland somewhere around, you know, like I say, 75 or so, according to that that information. I purchased the gun back in the early 70s, or before, of course, they quit importing them, so probably somewhere around 73, 74. I found these for sale at a well, actually didn't find them for sale at first. I purchased my first one for, I think, $250, somewhere in that area. There were still some less than the Colts. They seemed to be a good gun, so I went with that 5.5 inch. Then a little later on, I think a year or so later, we found out that the outfit was selling these guns, were putting them on sale, and I suspect the reason for that was because they knew they were no longer going to be imported by Inner Arms. So at that point, the price was really decent, so we ended up getting 4 of these 4 3/4 inch guns. And it turns out that Hammerli doesn't do what, or Inner Arms didn't do what Colt does, and that's separate all the consecutive serial numbers out to different dealers. So this dealer had these 4 4.5 inch 3.57s, and they're all consecutive serial numbers. So there's 4 of these that are consecutive. And I hadn't really wanted to, I guess, to shoot the guns. I had my 5.5 inch for that reason, and that's the reason that been from, let's say, 75 to how many years is that? 45, 50 years. I've had this gun and haven't shot it until today. So, but I'm really happy with the results of the gun. Like I say, if you're interested in more information, just go online and type in Inner Arms, Hammerli, Virginian, and you'll get some of the forums that'll have some information on it. I'm taking a closer look at the gun here, get it out of the plastic. It has a nickeled trigger guard here, guard underneath it, and the back strap is also nickeled. Very nice work on it. I'm not seeing any real tool marks on any of this thing. Serial numbers, and this one is I guess 2821, so you know, not real high. Still has the oil on it. We didn't wipe that off before we took it to the range. Has a feel of a Colt single action. And I think that you couldn't probably tell any difference if you're blindfolded and checking them out. One thing this does have on it, it has a safety feature on the cylinder, called the cylinder pin here, or the arbor, where if you push it in one more click in here, it'll come back and it'll not allow the hammer to go all the way into the firing pin to go all the way into the cartridges. So that's kind of a neat thing. Otherwise, really, I think really a sweet gun. There's our, you can read it here, our Hammerli stamped on that side of the gun, and we're seeing on the barrel Hammerli caliber .357 Magnum, and the top of it is saying Hammerli Lutzenberg, if I pronounce that right, Switzerland. Okay, so that's the gun, and shot really well, and I was real pleased it didn't shoot left to right. In other words, we don't have to consider messing with the barrel here as far as turning it in or out, shooting right on, and really up and down it's doing a good job too. If I have a complaint, I guess it would be the rear sight here. Doesn't give me a real good way of lining up the top on those things for shooting either high or low, and that's very typical of a lot of single actions. So anyway, I had a good time shooting it, and hopefully this will be useful to someone as far as if they're checking out a gun like this.